Democracy in peril. Rise up, America. Awaken the nation. Introduction. The battle for democracy begins. We start with a storm over Washington, D.C. The U.S. Capitol is dimly lit. The camera sweeps past monuments to Lincoln, MLK, and suffragists as their words echo faintly. Cut to the Lincoln Memorial, fading into footage of Americans struggling today, closed businesses, protests, working-class families staring at rising costs. 160 years ago, in the blood-soaked fields of Gettysburg, President Abraham Lincoln stood before a divided nation and issued a challenge. That these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. It was not just a speech. It was a warning. Democracy is not inevitable. It must be fought for. It must be defended. And if the people do not rise, it will perish. Today, we are at our Gettysburg moment. The enemies of truth, misinformation, greed, corruption, are at the gates. But the question is not whether they will fight. The question is, will we? Part 1. The cost of silence. What happens when we do nothing? We see it with our own eyes. The decaying of middle America, abandoned factories, politicians shaking hands with lobbyists, footage of world leaders, top judiciary taking bribes openly, and the fact-checking Trump in real time. Big Dave here. My Irene tells me, if you want your videos to go viral, you gotta put an animal in them. So, meet Minnie. But don't let the name fool you. Around here, we call him Killer, or more precisely, the Lie Killer. This cat can spot a liar from 1,000 yards away. Politicians, talking heads, snake oil salesmen, you name it. And when he locks on, well, let's just say it never ends well for the liar. Watch closely. Killer doesn't miss. In 2024, Donald Trump walked into the Oval Office, sat before the world, and humiliated himself and this country on an unprecedented scale. French President Emmanuel Macron reached across to stop him mid-lie. The British Prime Minister interrupted him to correct him. A journalist, tired of deception, asked the unthinkable, "Why do you keep lying, sir?" And what did Trump do? He lied again. He claimed America had given $350 billion to Ukraine. The real number? $119 billion. He claimed European aid was a loan, while US aid was a gift. The truth? Europe has given more, and almost none of it was structured as a loan. He claimed tariffs were paid by foreign nations. The reality? Tariffs are taxes paid by Americans through higher prices at the store. When confronted with the truth, he dodged, deflected, and denied. But here's the real question. Why do we let this happen? Why do we tolerate politicians who treat the truth like an inconvenience? We were warned once before. Lincoln told us, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish." But what happens when the people look away? Part 2, the Great American Humiliation. The world is watching. We are a witness to global reactions, news anchors in the UK, Canada, Germany shaking their heads at America. Footage of Trump brushing off world leaders, misrepresenting Canada's sovereignty, and calling Zelenskyy a dictator while praising Putin. While Trump lied in the Oval Office, the world watched. And they weren't laughing. Germany called it a nightmare. Canada declared Trump an ignoramus who had no idea that King Charles is still Canada's head of state. The British, usually reserved, were offended to their core by his disregard for Ukraine. The world sees America not as a leader, but as a warning. We are not just witnessing corruption. We are witnessing the deliberate erosion of truth itself. And if we do not act now, history will not remember us kindly. Part 3. From Gettysburg to now, why democracy demands action. Just think about footage of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, MLK's March on Washington, Vietnam protests, women's suffrage marches, then modern protests, voters in line, people making phone calls to their representatives. The battle for democracy is never over. It is fought in every generation, on every street, in every home. When workers fought for fair wages, they took to the streets. When women demanded the right to vote, they marched and never relented. When civil rights activists stood against oppression, they risked everything. And now, it is our turn. We must vote in every election, not just every 4 years. We must call our representatives and remind them who they work for. We must demand accountability, not just from politicians, but from the media that normalizes their lies. Because if we do not stand now, we will fall later. This is not just a speech. This is a warning. Part 4, Action Steps, How We Win This Fight. Want to learn how to make your voice count? Call your representatives. Demand transparency. Ask the hard questions. They work for you. Engage in your community. Attend town halls. Support independent journalism. Challenge misinformation. Vote with conviction. If your leaders fail you, replace them. Elections begin at the local level. Stay loud, stay relentless. The louder we are, the harder it is to silence us. Big Dave here. Every day, I sit with my best friend, from the age of 9, John Wayne, Sulles, to some, but the legend who walks with me. Like Captain Kirk, screens all around calling aloud, at his battle stations, we scan the globe, dissecting the chaos, analyzing the truth, and preparing to bring you the stories that matter most. If you believe in what we do, if you stand for truth, for justice, for the fight against tyranny, then stand with Ukraine. You can find trusted ways to help on our website, CanadaIceWatching.net. This isn't just about me, or my 10 kids. It's about all of us. Because make no mistake, the fight for Ukraine isn't just about their freedom, it's about stopping Russia before they come for the rest of us. And if you've got the guts, the fire, the unbreakable will, then don't just watch. Join the thousands from the free world who refuse to sit back and let betrayal define history. Big hugs, my friends. Stay strong. Stay loud. Thousands of Americans now are standing shoulder to shoulder at rallies. Can you hear them chanting, "Of the people, by the people, for the people"? The last stand. Hey, Big Dave here. I want to teach you how to spot a liar in a couple seconds, okay? The dead core liar unveiled. Breakdown. Deception is an art, but the body resists the lie. The eyes betray thought, the mouth suppresses truth, and the head recoils from exposure. A dead core liar masters words, but their face tells another story. The flickering gaze, shifting eye contact, rapid blinking, dilated pupils, the brain strains under the weight of fabrication. The silent lips, pressed shut, pursed tight, truth held hostage behind clenched teeth. The forced smile, the mouth moves, but the eyes remain lifeless, a mask, not emotion. The hidden retreat, a subtle head tilt, a retraction, a micropause before speech, the subconscious withdraws. The ticking clock, expressions lag, mismatched emotions flicker, truth struggles to break through. A liar may control their voice, but the face rebels. In deception's stillness, the body speaks loudest. Unmasking power, watch closely, judge wisely, witness the full story of his lies showing, unfold, Trump, but look beyond the stage. A dictator king, his second-tier jester, and oh, what was his name again? Oh yeah, Vance, funded mainly by China, Russia, and Elon the New World Order. You've seen the signs. The flickering gaze, the silent lips, the forced smile. Watch carefully. Truth and deception stand side by side. Now, you be the judge. Having a year of network engineering following the Russian invasion closely, I noticed the same servers pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into misinformation worldwide was now pumping Trump. My thoughts were, shit, it will be easy for the CIA or FBI to make an overwhelming case here. Then we all witnessed Trump do the first favor of who knows what quid pro quo. For 8 long months, Trump alone stopped aid for Ukraine. Imagine what it was like for all the Ukrainians being raped, tortured, and attacked. Women and children inclusive and deliberate, Trump preaching love for dictators in his famous words, "You know I was a snake when you took me in." Duh. Where he stopped aid to Ukraine, setting up to rob it of its resources for its future. Humbug. While he and his cronies and jesters are raping our nation of the free. Us or US, no matter what way you look at it. Volodymyr Zelenskyy receives the first honorary induction in a millennium. 1,000 years in the making. 1,000 swords of justice honors him and the Ukrainian people in whole, saving the free world at breathtaking cost. Man of the Year, without question, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, facing the press. Canadians and the free world sees you as a hero, Godspeed. Hunt all them commie bastards with their mules pushing and pulling what is ever left of his so-called second largest army in the world, and Ukraine is kicking ass. Now the New World Order has shown its true colors, with China's TikTok pumping the lies, then Russian lies. Leon the snake oil salesman who takes a successful Twitter with his billions, mocks his advertisers because they were not this South African apartheid wannabe he had stolen from us all. Already being paid enormous funds for space travel that NASA did very well, I might add. And now American, so-called, president, the laughing stock of the entire world. After praising Hitler, wanting us all to bow to him like he is some kind of king? This New World Order is propping up Trump's coin with billions, or you all would have lost every penny idiots invested in. His fake meme coin a complete disaster. Last I checked, it was tumbling below $13. Surprised? Then look at you new American oligarchy, and what they have done to your judiciary. Shameful. As we did not flood the streets and demand change already. We must accept some blame and read a new course, not watching the wake of our past, but engage in the forward waves with head and heart held high. Ask Abraham Lincoln in our sleep tonight what he thinks. I have been pleading with all to take heed. CanadaIceWatching.net brings you facts, told in our words with a touch of puffery in our visuals. Now here is a fact you can put in your pipe and smoke it. Upcoming Canadian elections. As I seen the New World Order pumping Trump, I see now their propaganda pumping the Liberal, which should not be a surprise when you think Carney buying his leadership in the race to the tune of $1.7 million, whereas contenders had only a few thousand to spend in their plight. X-Twit and the new cult World Order, TikTok, Trump's Lies Social, Fox, and all the wannabes. Not to say the Tories should have had a leadership race and put in Michael McKay of New Brunswick and let us East Coasters show you how to fix our country. 1. No home building without geothermos. For an investment of $30,000 or so for an average small home, pennies with today's expenses for energy are starting your heating from a temperature of 52 degrees centigrade. 2. Promote hydrogen-based vehicles that only byproduct is oxygen, not useless batteries stripping our natural environment. Surprise. 3. Vision a straw sticking in the earth for every oil well. Got it. In the early 1900s, amounting to 100s, maybe 1,000, sucking fuel from the center of the earth that spins among millions of planets because of a core of molten lava, molted from its fuel so the earth spins. Now all these straws today represent millions and millions of straws sucking fuel. Tell me in the comments, when do you think this will stop being enough fuel melting the lava we don't spin and more critical damage to where we have to live? 4. Across Canada high-speed train system, not second to the world. Preferably hydrogen or even magnetic, that will stimulate our economy in smart ways for our future. Hell, let me know if I should run for Prime Minister. CanadaIceWatching.net and the 1000 Swords of Justice legend loves the American people. Big hugs from Big Dave. We can think of a nation's defiance. We shall fight on the beaches. June 4th, 1940, a defining moment in history. As the tide of war threatened Britain's shores, one voice rose above the chaos, steady, unyielding, and defiant. Winston Churchill stood before the House of Commons, delivering words that would ignite a nation's resolve. We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, we shall never surrender. These were not just words. They were a call to arms, a declaration that no force, no matter how relentless, would break the spirit of the British people. Fresh from the miraculous evacuation at Dunkirk, Britain stood at the edge of uncertainty. Yet, in this moment of peril, Churchill's voice carried hope, defiance, and an unshakable promise that Britain would never bow. More than a speech, this was a battle cry. And it would echo through history. That is the only persistence that can set you free. Big Dave's ABCs to defeat oligarchy. Remember their lies. January 6th, trying to rape Ukraine's future with a revolver to their head. Jerry-rigging voting maps, and worst yet, have armed hoodlums intimidate the public at voting booths. Easy step to rid yourself of the traitors. 1. Go to their homes and camp out, no matter how white the house. 24 hours per day, in shifts. 2. Follow them in their cars and ask them questions, sharing their demeanor on social. 3. Demand accountability. Big hugs from Big Dave, and remember CanadaIceWatching.net.